Hello there, today we've got something a little bit different. Firstly, I apologise for having not made any videos for a while. I have suffered from some health problems, unfortunately. I'm pretty much over those now. Fingers crossed, so more videos should be coming out. Okay, you will see this isn't my face. I don't look like that. Instead, this is a screencast, and what that means is you're seeing what's on my computer. So, here, I'm going to show you some software that I've found particularly wonderful for doing language learning and that I highly recommend to you. I've been using it for about a month, maybe slightly less, for about an hour a day, and I found it to be marvellous. The software is called Learning with Texts. You may have heard of it, you may be using it, but if not, I'd like to describe it to you and tell you why I think it's so good. Firstly, it's completely free of charge, and some language enthusiast has very kindly developed this and made it available to the world for download, no purchase costs, no monthly charges, completely free. Before we get into the details of what it is though, I'd like to talk about why actually it's useful. We all know that at some point we have to let go of the comfort of textbooks when learning languages and move on to authentic materials. For example, reading the book Harry Potter. The difficulty is, of course, when you're starting out and even at an advanced level, there will be things that you don't understand. Let's look here. Pan a pani dörsliovi z domu číslo 4 v Zobi ulici vždycky rodiče prohlašovali, že jsou naprosto normální. Ano, děkujeme za optání. What does that mean? Well, I sort of understand it, but what does naprosto mean? Ooh, how do I know? So, these uncertainties, there are two ways of dealing with it. The first one, extensive reading, means ignore them. Try to guess from context, but don't get hung up on it and just keep going. So I'd get the gist of it, and then I'd keep reading and reading and reading and reading and hope that in time my intuition would tell me things and that I wouldn't worry too much about it. That's fine, until I actually want to know what those things really are. The solution to that is we can find parallel texts and try to look things up. So for example here, the word naprosto, it says means perfectly. Fine. Are perfectly normal. Words can't be, because in Czech perfectly is prostě. That must mean something a bit like it, but I think they've been a bit loose on the translation there. And hold on, thank you very much. Well, I know for a fact that in Czech this means we thank you for inquiring. So they've been very loose. This is only useful really for when you're really stuck or just to get the general meaning, but getting the precise literal translation, no help at all. I'm going to have to get the dictionary out, and that takes time, and time means effort, and that's painful. Am I going to be bothered? After a while, this intensive process of reading, where you look up every unknown, becomes very expensive in terms of time, takes a lot of effort, and really is exhausting. What we would like is something that bridges the gap, where we get the speed of extensive reading, you can just keep going, yet the precision of knowing exact meanings that comes from intensive reading. And that's what learning with texts is about. It's software that gives you precise definitions very quickly, so that you don't get a laborious process when you're unsure of detailed meanings. Now, if you've ever seen the website lingq.com, you'll have seen something very similar to learning with texts, because it serves a very similar purpose. For those who haven't seen it, it's a commercial website link where you can upload to it texts and audio, supporting audio, and then listen to that audio and read those supporting texts and find definitions for words quite quickly. So it helps you to work with foreign texts and find out their meanings quickly and associate those with the audio so you know how things sound. It's got two small disadvantages. One is that once you're using it at beyond a very basic level, you have to pay a monthly fee. That starts at $10 a month. Soon becomes more expensive if you want more features, and that's not affordable to everybody. But in addition, all the texts that you put on there and the audios are on their computers. And if you don't have access to the internet, say you lose your connection or you're in a location where there isn't the internet, or heaven forbid Link goes out of business, your texts are no longer available to you. Now, this product, Learning with Texts, gets around those two problems. Firstly, it doesn't cost anything. It's no charge to get it and no charge at all monthly, completely free. And also, what it does effectively is create a small website once you've installed it on your computer. Now, what happens is you go to this page, and I'll put a link in the description for the video, and there's an installation section on that web page which actually has 11 steps telling you how to get your local website running. It sounds scary, but the steps are actually very simple, and if you're not intimidated, that's interesting, there are 12 steps. If you're not intimidated by it, give it a little bit of time. It'll only take about 10 minutes, and it's probably a lot easier than you imagine. And once you've finished, you will have something like this. So this looks like a website, but it's not on some remote computer, it's on your computer, so that you can use it even if there's no internet connection, and you don't have to be afraid that somebody's going to go out of business or steal your data. It starts out with support in here for, let's have a look, sorry, Chinese, French, German and Japanese. I've added Czech. It's quite easy to add a language. What you actually do is name the language, point it to a couple of online dictionaries where it can look definitions for words up, and give it a link to Google Translate where it can translate sentences if you need some help to guess what something means. And then you also need to specify the character set. The installation website gives you some information on how to do this. Okay, once you've done that, you can actually start putting texts in there. Now, I've been doing this, as I said, for a little under a month, and I've got dozens of, these are Czech news broadcasts actually. But what I'm going to do now is just create a new text to show you how long it takes and what it involves. I'm going to just do the first page from that Harry Potter book. So the first thing I'll do is call it, I don't know, Harry 1. Let's just call it Harry 1. Then I'll go onto my second screen here, copy and paste the first page. You can associate tags here, which are names that you can search on. So I could say this is a fiction book, it's Harry Potter, or something like that. I won't bother, but it helps when you're searching later. And you can associate audio. Here's one I've prepared earlier, which is just the audio for the first page of Harry Potter. I find it very useful, it supports many formats. Once you've done that, save and open, and now that page and the audio is in the system and always will be in the system. We can listen to the audio.
Kapitola první, chlapec, který zůstal naživu.
And here what we're doing
Pan a paní Dursleyovi z domu číslo 4 v Zdobí ulici vždycky hrdě prohlašovali, že jsou naprosto normální. Ano, děkujeme za optání.
That's effectively extensive reading. We're just reading the text, not worrying too much about things we don't understand, and also we've got the supporting audio. It's great, I like to listen to the audio many times to get the sounds in my head before actually reading, and then I read the text, then I listen to the audio again, then I do them together. You can go through the same text many times, it doesn't take long. Right, so now looking at the text itself, you can see some of the words are in colours. Some of them have no colours, others are in, the majority are either no coloured or blue. Some have other colours here, red and yellow and so on. Now, if something is in blue, that means it's a word I've not seen before. And these are words that I really can either guess in my head the meaning or look up. So Harry and Potter, I know what those are. So I'm going to add those to the system and say I don't actually care about the definitions because I'm not caring about what the translation is. So I just click on it and say ignore this term. Click on it and say ignore this term. From now on they won't be blue, but they'll have this black dotted line underneath them. But if we get now to Kamen Modrotsu, well, I can't guess what those are. So let's go to Google Translate. It actually says, whoops, I've got it set on Indonesian from earlier, I'm sorry. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Aha, the title of the book. And in fact, Kamen actually means stone in Czech. I happen to know that, but it'll now look that individual word up in one of the dictionaries that I configured when I created Czech as a language being supported. There you go, Kamen is stone. So I'll just say stone, and now on a scale of 1 to 5 I can say I know this very well. So now it's turned green here. Mudratsu, I actually happen to know that means philosopher or wise man. So I'll just type wise man in here, and I'm going to say this one is well known. So now that doesn't have any colour apart from a green underline, and if I hover over it in the future it'll show me the definition, wise man. Same here, these are these other words, capitola means some of them don't have a definition. That's because I could say that I know ulici means street or lane, and I can just say immediately I know this term well, and it won't bother adding a definition. There's no point adding definitions for words that I already know. But what does Dursleovi mean? I don't know. But let's think about it. I think it actually means the Dursleys, the family, the Dursley family. So let's say it means the Dursley family. I'm quite sure about that. Now what you'll notice is every occurrence of that has changed. So whenever I hover over it, not just in this page, but in any document that I ever put into this system, that now will be defined, so I don't have to keep looking words up. Once I've looked them up, it's a once only process, and then from then on I can just go, oh, Dursleyovi, Mnieliv Shetsko. So the Dursleys had everything what they da-da-da-da. Yes? So this is the beauty of the system. There is a little bit of pain of looking a word up. It might take it a few seconds. Not as long as looking in a paper dictionary, but once you've done it, it's a once only process. Later on, I might decide, oh, I do know it really well now, and I can upgrade. I can say, come on, that's a well-known word. And from then on, it won't have any colour at all, but I can still see its definition. And so, over time, as you add more and more and more pages from Harry Potter, the number of blue words will disappear, and the amount of time to look up definitions will reduce because the same words will be repeated over and over again, so that you can zoom through these texts very quickly, and just when you see a word you don't quite understand, you just hover over it, and, you know, Carmen, stone, philosophers, wise man, the Dursleys and so on. Yes? Or Jikuyame. Well, that's well known. So, many of these are well known because actually I know Czech very well, to be honest. But Rudia, proudly. So, oops. So now I'll make this one 2, proudly. And later on I'll be going vždycky, oh, what's Rudia? Proudly. And later on I'll think, oh, well, I know it means proudly, and I'll just upgrade that it's now a 3. And later on I'll be able to say it's well known, and so on. Get the idea. So, once we've added these texts, what can we do with them? Well, one thing we can do is we can create tests of our knowledge, because what this is doing is helping us learn words through context. So we can test ourselves. Unfortunately, it's not going to show me any here because I used it so recently that the built-in effectively spaced repetition system doesn't have any tests for me today. But what it allows you to do is different types of tests here, either of individual words or words in context. These are called cloze tests, C-L-O-Z-E, words in contexts. And you can guess what words are or know what words are. And based on your guesses, it upgrades the word on that 1 to 5 scale from being 1 meaning don't know it very well to 5 meaning know it very well, and eventually to well known. And when a word is well known, it won't appear in these tests. Okay, what we can also do is go to statistics, and here it keeps all the statistics on all the words that you've looked at in the various languages and at what level they are and so on. Right, so if I go to some level 3 words here are a load of check words that I don't quite know. Yes? Oh, and we could add tags to words as we define them, so we could filter this down and say we only want to see the adjectives or the fiction words or whatever. So then I can think, well, some of these are really sticking, just troubling, I just can't get them, so I'll just click a few of them randomly, and what I'm actually going to do is you can add tags, but export to Anki, and that will create some flashcards in the Anki spaced repetition system, which you can then go and learn outside of learning with texts. Anki will feed them to you using its own statistics, and presumably when you see those words again back in learning with texts, that's a great supplement to the learning that goes on in here. You can also do backups and restores of the database. You can change preferences, yes, for how things are viewed and so on. And there's some help and information if you get stuck. And there's also an experimental mobile version for mobile devices. Now, I use this on my iPad with the normal version we've just been looking for, but apparently with some mobile devices, perhaps some smartphones or something, that doesn't format so well. So we can actually use a specially configured version for those devices, which does let you play the text and look at the words and then so on. Yes, but I haven't needed to use it, but if you do, it's there. Okay, so that's it. I just wanted to do a very quick overview with learning with texts. You can find out extra details yourself. Have a look at it. Don't be too scared about the installation process. Give it a go, and I hope you find it as great as I have. I hope this has been very useful to you, and I hope to be making some more videos again soon. Thank you very much for your time.